Hey everybody, you have David Abrams here. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO here at Demio. Really appreciate everyone coming out today on this Thursday afternoon, wherever you're in from. It's a cloudy, rainy Thursday afternoon here in Tampa, Florida. Just give me a hello in the chat if you can hear me and see me. Maybe tell us where you're in from and what's the weather like in your neck of the woods. Hey everybody, recognize a lot of names here from the Demio side, along with Wyatt, my co-founder here at Demio. Denver, Miami, I'm sure it's hot there. Sunny Phoenix, I used to live in Arizona, lived in Phoenix and Tucson. Nathan from Nashville, Los Angeles, Cayman Islands. Wow, JD, that sounds awesome. Texas is 100 degrees right now, Karen. Wow, that sounds pretty hot. I know, growing up in Arizona, we got up to like 120 sometimes. It was crazy. But appreciate you all coming in, spending some time with us. We have about an hour-long presentation here for you. Today we are working with Meet Edgar, who is just an amazing, amazing company. And I'm joined by the lovely Megan today. And we're going to go through some great content for all of you guys. Talk about how to use social media to find more webinar viewers. So whether you're from the Demio side, again, I recognize a lot of names here from the Demio side, and you're doing webinars right now, and you're looking for ways to get more registrants, more attendees, it's going to be a perfect webinar for you. We're going to go through a ton of tactics from the Meet Edgar side and what they're doing. They're a social media powerhouse. They have a ton of tactics. And for those of you coming from the Meet Edgar side, welcome to Demio. We're going to be talking about how you can bring in webinars if you're not using them yet in your business. For many of you, you're probably doing social media. You may not be doing webinars, but a great, great way to strategize. And we'll talk about the webinars to do, how to do them, registration, all that kind of stuff. So with that in mind, I'm just going to give one more minute here for people to come into the room. It's still a little early, and then we'll jump on. But Megan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so well, David. Thanks so much. We are so excited to chat with you guys about how Demio is such a great software for all of this. Any of you from Meet Edgar who follow along on our YouTube webinars know we love, love, love sharing tips and tricks to make sure you guys have all the resources as small businesses, as product owners, to make sure that these webinars are giving you the information you need. So we're really excited that this chat forum is here. So be sure to let us know throughout this. We're always happy to answer questions as we're going through. What you guys are working on, what social media goals you have, so we can really make sure this is giving you the best information, and you can whip out your pens and make sure that you are ready to take this stuff and put it to use once that webinar is done.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go through a lot of stuff, guys. We're going to ask a lot of questions. I'm going to turn off my webcam here in just a second, and I'm going to be jumping into the chat area itself. So if you have questions throughout, I'll be there to answer them. Some of them I'm going to star here in the Demio chat. And we're going to handle at a live Q&A at the end. Megan and I will just go through and answer some of those questions live. So if I don't answer your question, we will try to get to it at the end. But do save some of the bigger questions or any tactics, strategies that you want Megan specifically to talk about. She's going to be focusing on the content itself today. But I will be jumping in the chat right now. And Megan, I'll let you take this away.
Cool. Thanks, David. All right, guys, definitely make sure that you're staying active and getting to know everyone else who's around here. This is a great community, and we are really excited to share how you can start to optimize your social media presence to get more attendees on your webinars. As we go throughout this, just to start out, a little bit about me. I am an onboarding coach at Meet Edgar, which means that my job working for this little octopus Edgar is to really help make sure that we are helping you automate for engagement. So I have a little bit of a challenging job. Sometimes you will hear social media automation and start to think that things might get a little spammy or it's not authentic. But while we're going throughout this, we want you to remember that any change that's been made on social media these days, or anything that you're reading about social media, really is pushing people towards knowing that it is all about engagement to get your posts to have the most relevancy, the most relatability for your community. We love to chat with our members at Edgar about this thing called the know, like, and trust factor. So as we're looking at some examples in here, start to think about how your brand can really get people to know, like, and trust you. Because people buy from people, and it's all about humanizing yourself on social media and making sure that you're not just a faceless product or a faceless website, but you're showing up as a real person. And this can really go a long, long way in making sure your social media updates are as effective as possible. And really, it goes back to this idea that it takes about 6 touch points with someone in order for them to get to know, like, and trust your brand. And social media is the best way to nurture these touch points and to get your followers to really latch on and trust that you are the right source to solve their problem, to make sure their pain points are decreased. And last, I love to help people make sure that they understand social media automation and social media in general is all about posting your valuable content to when your followers are online rather than when you're online. So if you have people like all of this awesome information that you guys are giving us, some people from Spain and England in here, if you have clients who are in the US, social media automation is an awesome way for you then to be able to get these updates when your followers are online, so you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to get that optimum posting time. So just a little bit of background also about Edgar here. This is our founder, Laura, and why she created this tool was really so that professionals could manage their social media with more consistency and in less time. So you guys can really start to think of social media, even if you're using an automation tool or a system that you're creating yourself with just a series of spreadsheets and calendars, as a way to stay relevant and consistent with your posts. Because if people are taking the time to follow you on social media, that means they want to hear from you. And automation can really free up your time in order to make sure that you guys are getting the most out of your business. So you can start to create more content and really focus on the things in your business that matter. So let's jump in here, why we are here, and that is to market and get exposure so you guys can grow your webinar audience and get all of your awesome information out to your social media channels, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. They're free platforms, and we are so lucky as marketers to get to use these. But at the same time, as we're going throughout this, you have these awesome stats that make it a little bit frustrating sometimes. So we all know that there are algorithms out there on social media that are putting together what people see on their timelines. And this can create a little bit of a problem when you're seeing that the half-life of a tweet these days is only about 6 minutes. Social media automation can really help make sure that you're getting your updates out there more and more, sharing that evergreen content so more people can see them. And really, guys, the best way to bust through these algorithms is your community. So producing quality content, producing quality updates is going to be the best way to make sure your audience is your best community buster. Algorithm buster. So let's jump in a little bit about your first steps here. So before you go and start to actually make updates for your webinar, we want to make sure you're setting some goals. This can not only help guide the way that the amount of updates that you need to create, but it can also help you shift your goal setting during your webinar and marketing campaigns. So I want you to first kind of sit down with some pens and paper and think, hey, how many registrants realistically do I want to get for this webinar? I know here at Demio, you guys have an awesome blog that explains a lot about webinar attendance, but it is about a 25% registration to show up rate is the typical number that you hear out there. So this means if you are going to sit down and you want to get 800 attendees for your webinar, it means your social media and marketing campaigns need to be focused on getting 3,000 people to sign up. And what this can help you do is, again, really sit down and think, how far out do I need to start scheduling this to get people excited about my content and to get people to really come in and get all the value that your webinar is going to offer
Yeah,
them.
just to chime in there, I would say, webinars themselves are pretty cool and pretty easy to look at from like the equation, looking at how many registrants, how many attendees, what's going to be my closing percentage. So once you guys get some metrics in, setting your goals is a very, very valuable and very effective way to plan everything that you need, from budget to time to energy, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to throw that in there for you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, if you guys can be so focused on your actual webinar content, having these goals in mind can help make that marketing campaign just go so much more smoothly. As you're setting these goals, though, we also want to make sure that it's not just based on numbers, because again, we're dealing with people, especially on social media. So in order for your posts to be most successful, when you're making these goals, we also want to bring in that human side and thinking about, how does this add value for my audience? Every social media update that you're putting out in order to drive registration should also add some value. You don't want your feed just to be this series of register, register, register. So start thinking about how you can space them out within your current social media strategy when you're sharing your blog posts, when you're sharing your inspirational, humanizing posts in that way. And add in those little bits and tips with the link to your registration, and you'll see a really great value boost in people, again, liking and trusting your brand and seeing the value in that. And you also want to think how you can start to entertain people with your social media updates. If someone sees an update from you and it brings a smile to your face, that emotional connection with them is going to be so strong, and that they're going to then associate that good feeling with your brand. So again, driving with both numbers and with this emotional connection in mind is really going to be the key, and a really great marriage when you're going to be creating these updates. And start to also kind of empathize and get in the shoes of your followers and think, why would someone share this out to their own network? Because social media marketing is really about creating this awesome army of loyal followers who are then going to be compelled to share out your status updates and to really connect with you and your community, opening up all of your awesome value to their own networks, basically becoming a part of your marketing team, which is really awesome. As you're going throughout this too, think about how these posts can be relatable. That is really the direction that social media marketing is going these days. If people can relate to your post, again, it's going to give them that good feeling of that know, like, and trust, and build that bond with you, so that your brand can become something that they start to think of as a really great resource. Again, as you're going throughout this, we want to make sure that if you are asking yourself, why are people on social media, it can guide the way that you're putting your updates into your feeds. If someone is sharing a post on social media that your brand shared, what this is really going to do is make sure that it's popping out to their network and it says something good about themselves. So if you're associating yourself with a brand and you're sharing your valuable content with them, you're saying, this reflects well on me too. So start to think about the ways you can get people to really engage with your posts. If you do start to think about this as well, it's a great way to start to develop personas, so you can start to talk directly to your audience. So persona development, what this can really do is make sure that you have someone in mind. So when you're writing your updates, you're saying, hey, my target audience cares about X, Y, Z, and really tailor your language to match this. So it can really help you stay authentic and make sure that you're sharing updates that speak right into them. Cool. As we're going throughout this too, we want to make sure you're cultivating a service-first mindset. And this is, again, about getting your development in for your personas. If you are serving your community and you are showing up for them, that connection is going to be so strong. And with this automation idea and engagement idea we spoke about at the beginning, we want to make sure that the questions you're asking with these updates are also sparking conversations. So setting aside some time after your social media updates come out to pop into your social networks and start to talk to people. Start to make sure that they have all the information they need. And automation can help you do this as well, freeing up your time 15 minutes a day. Again, if they feel like you're there for them at the beginning, you're showing up for them, it's going to provide that much more value when they pop into your webinar. So this idea about the hero's journey is really powerful when you're crafting social media updates as well. It is speaking to someone, hey, we want to make sure that as you're on this journey, as you're becoming a customer, that our product is helping you get there. So your product isn't going to be the hero in their story. What your product is going to do is help them become a hero to really push their goals forward. So think about what the goals of your audience are and how your product can help them reach that. And it's really about this idea that our brains are wired for storytelling. And if you can tell a story about how your product fits into their journey, it'll make them latch on and become that much more excited to pop in and advocate for your brand and really get all the value that you can give to them. And don't be afraid to be specific. You really want to make sure that there's a lot of riches in the niches. The more specific voices that you can add, the better. If you have something to say that's outside of your industry, if you have something unique, it's really exciting for people to be able to see that. Cool. So again, we want to make sure you're attracting the right people when you're going throughout this. It's really important to get these personas developed so that the people who are coming in are the right people to see your updates, connect with them, and really get that connection going. So as you're starting to get these updates too, you want to make sure that you're realizing things are timely and relevant. Social media algorithms, especially on Twitter and Facebook, are really going to favor timely updates. So make sure anything that's going on is really focused on getting your updates out when your audience is online. This original point of view, another really great idea we just kind of talked about. What does your industry have to say about this topic, and how does your voice within that industry differ, so that you can make sure the value they're getting is unique to your brand and they're really going to latch on to that. You also want to make sure that it's broad enough to scale. We want you to diversify your social media following in a way that you're able to use your status updates to bring new followers to your networks. So think about how you can make sure that this speaks to people who are interested now, you're warm leads who would be interested in buying now, as well as those people who you might have to nurture along the way, who might not be ready to buy, but if they learn a little bit about your product, again, that 6 touch point idea, in the future when they're ready, your brand is going to be top of mind, and they are going to be so excited when they're like, oh, I know the perfect company to solve this problem for me. So as we're going throughout this too, as we take your strategy to the social media world, make sure that you're planning your social media updates and targeting them to the specific language on the network, whether it's Twitter, short, 280 characters, or a little bit longer for people to read on Facebook. Testing and experimenting with this is a really great way to make sure that the updates you are repeating are the ones that are speaking to your followers, and making sure that they are able to get that information quickly. You know, people are going through their feed, they're there to connect with friends and family. So the more you can make your updates seem really conversational, the better there. So let's take a look at some examples now and jump right into this in real life status updates now. So this is one that we did for this webinar specifically, actually. And you can see here what a great conversational tone is. Starting it off with a question is a great way to spark your followers to say, yeah, I do want to find more viewers for my social media webinars. And it's not only a way that you're speaking directly to them, you're also making sure that the right people are coming. This is targeting your audience and saying, hey, we know about you, come on in, this is going to help you. So asking questions is a way for people to opt in and self-select that this webinar is right for them, so you can get more engagement and you can get the right people excited about showing up and excited about sharing all your valuable information with their own networks. So be conversational, ask questions. It's a great, great way and a great starting point in order to get a lot of people into your webinars. Social media automation with this strategy idea too is a way that you can make sure this update that says today goes out at the right time. So we'll go a little into how Edgar can do that later for you. But again, if you're doing this without a tool, you can create a calendar, you can create tasks within a system like Asana or Trello or something in order to preload these so that you can sit down and time backs out of time to write all of this creativity, to get these out to your followers, and to really target and make it a really live way, saying, you know, hey, today is when you want to make sure you're not missing out. So if people are scrolling through their feed and at lunchtime and they find they have time to pop onto this webinar, your update hit them at the right time. So being strategic about when these are sending out can really help drive more registrants to your webinars. So going into a little bit more on actually crafting these updates, what you want to do is really make sure you're providing a tidbit of what you're going to be talking about so people can self-select in. So that little tidbit is going to be something that can hook someone. And what is really great, kind of a really great acronym to think about is the word HOT. And what that's going to stand for is hook, outcome, testimonial. So you want to make sure that your social media updates are hooking someone with that value about what they are going to learn, the outcome, so what they can expect to receive once they're done with this webinar, what they can put to use in their actual business once they're done, and then a testimonial for that social proof. So if you've done this webinar before, if it's a really great evergreen webinar you've presented before, having something in there that says, you know, past presenters have received XYZ, or past registrants have learned XYZ, to show that social proof. So start thinking about that, not past a little bit about just the who and what and title, and actually providing them some value within each update. Adding that unique personality and flavor. Remembering, again, it is all about that human to human connection, not that business to business connection on social media and on webinars alike. So add in your personality, whip out your style guide, think about how you can get a little bit more personal with your updates. Images are huge, guys. Making sure that you have something visual with each update you're sending out, whether it's going to be a link generated preview from Facebook or a Twitter card. But images themselves are going to be something that can stop people in their tracks and really get them to pay attention to your updates. So another thing we want to make sure that you guys are thinking about is a hashtag. So if you want to share your content on social media, Twitter specifically, you want to make sure people are joining in the conversation and tweeting with that hashtag so that you can generate some excitement and keep the conversation going during and after the webinar. If you do this, you want to make sure that people have a clear way of seeing this within your own social feed too. So you can see here an example of an update from one of our past webinars. We use the hashtag #LessMore. What this was really able to do is show people how to use this. So crafting a social media update with your hashtag in it before, during, and after is an awesome way that you're able to make sure people are using it.
That's awesome. Real fast, Megan, I just want to jump in and say, on the last slide, we talked about images being a very valuable part of this whole process. Didn't mention it at the beginning, but at the end here, for those of you who do stay with us, we will be releasing a social media template overview guide to talk about how to create those images. We put together some great examples of high converting images and all that, so you'll get that at the end. So just wanted to add that reminder in here while you reminded me.
Thanks for that, David. That is so true. We are going to be giving you guys some awesome value there. So as you're starting to look at some of these examples, think about how you can turn it in for your own branding. Thanks for that, David. Cool. So going on and looking at a few more examples here, this is a cool update from a company called Kissmetrics that goes ahead and shares their hashtag in a great way. This hashtag not only is able to give people an idea that this is about a webinar, it's also a really personality adding webinar. It's going to be something that's really cool for people to be able to get a little bit of a humor out of. You know, Kissmetrics, Kiss Webinar, their branding is right on point there. I also love this update because it's introducing a really conversational tone. So it's kind of like you're saying, hey, I'm at a dinner party and I want to talk about this idea. You're not going to just jump right in and talk about your product and pitch right away. You're going to build in some consistency in telling people who they are. So looking at this update, you can see he's introducing his co-host. He's giving you a little bit of a beforehand there. So again, as you're using social media for these updates, making sure that you're really getting your personality and really making sure that you're thinking about how you would introduce this to someone if you are in person. So again, this update is awesome. Great hashtag, great personality, awesome eye-catching graphic there, and a direct call to action. They're even putting it in there. There's a link below. So they're taking out any guesswork of what your next step should be. Cool. Another way to make sure that you're getting these updates out to the most people is this example from Moz is actually going ahead and tagging their co-host or tagging the person. So make sure you're utilizing this when you're on Twitter to tag people. Again, it's like introducing your community to them before, during, and after the webinar to get that personal connection and to make sure you're really going in and really connecting with them on that human level. In this, as well, as we go on to this next slide, you'll notice a little bit of a similarity here. So you can see that Moz does a really great thing where they are able to go ahead and have an automated template that they can just replace the details with. This is an awesome option for you guys to be able to say, hey, I'm going to save some time. And this brings consistency as well. So if people are going ahead and scrolling through their Twitter feed, scrolling through their Facebook feed, and they see this one update here, it automatically triggers that and it gets that brand recognition going. And this is why creating a style guide and utilizing it for your social media updates is so important, so that people get that instant connection and they know that it's going to add awesome value if they actually pay attention. So think about and consider developing your own templates here that have your brand consistency and just replacing all of that information so that people are immediately recognizing who you are on social media. Cool. Another thing I love to think about as you're getting creative with how you're introducing your webinar and driving registrants to it is using video. Video is the best way to create authenticity. There's no way to hide who you are. There's no way to hide your personality if you are in front of the camera. And it also gets that eye contact going. That's so, so important for developing relationships. So think about adding a short promo video to your social media updates, maybe just a minute long, chatting about the value that people will get. An added bonus here is it also helps with this algorithm idea. Not only does Facebook really value and really promote video more, they promote live video the most. So if you do have the time and the bandwidth to do it, hop on a Facebook Live and introduce your webinar, making sure that people know exactly where to sign up, chatting with them about it, and that'll really help people go over to your site, saying, hey, we've got the registration link on our website here, or hey, visit our social media pages to find that registration link and save your spot today. Video is also an awesome way on Twitter with a limited character length for you guys to sneak in a little extra characters. So if you are finding it hard to craft these updates to get all of the information you want out there, consider using video to create that authentic connection, as well as getting all of the information out. Creating urgency with your social media updates. This is so important for you to be able to get your registrants to say, hey, now is the time to take action. So looking at this update here, you can see it's a really great way to say, oh my gosh, this is closing soon. I better get on and get this going. So consider the language you're using to make sure you're letting people know, hey, you don't have just weeks to think and hum and ha about your schedule. Save your seat today. And this way, as they're registering, again, at least they'll get that replay and your value added there. So consider creating some urgency within your update. This one from Amy is also really awesome, as she's starting out with a quote, again, that speaks right to you. I can't find enough time to build my online course. If you see that and you're like, oh my gosh, I had that thought the other day, that relatable connection is going to be priceless. So think about the thoughts that are going on in your followers' heads and consider adding those into your social media status updates. And she goes a bit further even, where she gives a little bit of a behind the scenes content. Behind the scenes content is some of the strongest content that you can produce for social media. So think about how you can say, hey, I've been there, I've done that, this is what I've learned from it. And people will really respect that and be able to get on over and be compelled to sign up for your webinar there. Cool. So this one as well from Amy is awesome. She's not only calling out that it's a free training, getting you excited there. She's also calling out that you have 10 ways to figure this out. So you know exactly what she's going to be covering and exactly what you'll walk away with. She gives that direct call to action with the click image below to join. So again, you're not sitting there guessing, you're sitting there saying, oh, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to click here and this is how I'm going to get this awesome value. So think about how you can speak, how this is going to work for you, and how you can really get your images as well as your status updates to give people all of the information that they need. Cool. So we want to also make sure that you're not giving away all of the content in your status updates, because curiosity is one of the strongest drivers to get people to take action. As humans ourselves, if there's some sort of knowledge gap that we have and we're saying, you know what, I don't know that, we are kind of compelled to fill that gap. And it's going to create this kind of curiosity for people to click and register for your webinar. So as you're doing this as well, you can see on this social media update, we want to give people enough information to know what they're going to get. So a way to do this is to actually take a screenshot of one of your slides and use this as the image that you're sending with your social media update. So you can take a screenshot of a slide, attach it to send to Facebook or Twitter, again, sneaking in some extra characters there for Twitter, and to get people excited, but to also go ahead and create some curiosity. So think about how you can get people to get excited about clicking on your links. All right, so teasing out reminders. So this is another way that we want to make sure you're thinking about how you can make these updates the most valuable. Anticipation is going to be really exciting. Half the time that people are on social media, they're there again to connect with their friends and family. So you want to make sure the anticipation you're building fits into their feed, where you're not kind of going in and interrupting their flow, but you're adding value at the same time. And that's what this 80% other valuable stuff, 20% promotional stuff is going to help guide the updates that you're crafting. So if you have, say, you're posting 4 updates a day to Facebook, we want to make sure that the first 3 are going to be value added updates. So this is going to be a value, whether it's an inspirational quote about your webinar, whether it's going to be like a screenshot of the slide that offers them some value they can start to get excited about right away, whether it's going to be asking a question in order for them to get to know everyone else in your community. You know, Facebook groups is some of the strongest places to do this as well. So creating an update to ask questions about what they want to learn about, so people can start to think what questions they should bring to your webinar that way. And you've got those 3 value-added posts then going out. That last one then can be a little bit more promotional. And it's essentially this model of saying, you know, hey, I have now earned the right to bring this to your attention and ask you if you are the right person to register for my webinar. So kind of keep that in mind. Again, we recommend on Facebook especially 4 posts, 3 of them value added, 1 of them a little bit more promotional, and adding some little emoji smiley face into this update you see here is another awesome way to sneak some personality in and to get that tone set up and people excited. Again, this content first helpful approach is going to be what works best on social media. So you can see here that we have Laura, one of our founder at Meet Edgar, popping on in and doing a Facebook Live to promote one of our webinars. And what this is really awesome for is going on in, giving a little bit of value, getting that teaser out there so that your ads, if you are deciding to go ahead and put a little money behind your posts, are coming across as helpful as well. So of course, organic posting and connecting with your community that way is going to be the coolest way to get people to drive registration to your webinars. But again, if you are spending a little bit of money, make sure your ads are also a content first approach. So hopping on that video, making sure again that people get all that information in a way that makes it seem like it's not an ad, it's actually you wanting to provide so much value because you have so much cool information to share with them. Cool. So do you want your audience to take a specific action like signing up for an event or a limited time offer? Of course you do, because you want them to register for your webinar. So this is talking a little bit about being clear in your call to action so people know exactly what to do. You know, we have so much going on in our lives that the more you can take any guesswork out of what their next steps are, the better. So beyond getting all this value-added content out there for your more promotional posts, make sure that call to action is simple, that it gives them the date, it gives them the type of event, so a video webinar, and it calls out where the link to click is. So don't forget, as we were looking at some of those past examples, that it might seem silly as you're starting to write, like click the link below, but it really is the best way to make sure that people know what to do and they're not just sitting there scrolling and forget to click that. So calling that out directly is an awesome way to make sure people are increasing the likelihood of clicking and shifting on over. Cool. So you can see here an example of that. This is going to be one of the clearest ways that you can go ahead and get one of your social media updates out. You can see that we've got get more traffic, grow your email list, and increase sales. And then we're even going a little bit further. And again, mentioning who is going to be hosting this webinar. So LKR and Nathan Barry. People get that quick kind of, okay, I don't have to spend time reading a block of text here. I have a great listicle of what I'm going to learn. And then we have that link to call out where they can register. So consider adding in a few in your mix as you're starting to promote your webinars that are a little bit shorter, a little bit more call to action there. Because again, guys, you don't have to post just once a day in order to get your social media updates to be more effective. We would consider posting throughout different times to catch people whose consumption habits might be a little different on social media, whether they're checking it on their lunch break or whether they're checking it when they're home from work. So as you're crafting these, think about the different times a day and people's habits. Everyone's audience is a little bit different, but maybe doing a shorter one during the workday when you know people don't have as much time to actually log in and watch a video. So thinking about the times and thinking about the content and clear call to action can be a great way to really optimize your posts. Cool. So this is a little bit of a view of the inside of Meet Edgar. Again, if you're not using a social media automation tool, Edgar's a great one, but you can also create the system with just a series of spreadsheets if you aren't ready to jump into the automation side yet. And what this is we actually do it on a category-based system. And this makes sure that you're getting a variety of content out. So as you're starting to create your updates, you can get those video updates, you can get those clear call to action updates, keeping your strategy in mind, keeping in mind what you want people to do with those. You can get your image updates, and then you can get your day up updates. And creating these buckets of categories makes sure that you're sending them out at different times of day, again, in order to catch people who didn't maybe see that specific variety of content the first time you sent it out. So really making sure that you're breaking up different categories, thinking about what your goals are, and being strategic there. So within this, as you're adding it, if you do use Meet Edgar, you'll notice this is our composer screen here. You're going to go ahead and bucket it into a category or add it to your spreadsheet with that category tab, however you're utilizing it, and going ahead and crafting maybe 10 social media updates to kind of batch it out. And this is not only going to help save you time, it's again going to help get a variety of content out. So we don't want you guys to be task switching throughout the day. We want you guys to really be able to sit down when you're in that creative space and craft an update. And again, here for this specific social media update, we are asking a question to get that relatability going on, and to also make sure you're saying, hey, yeah, I do want more followers on social media. So if you're asking people this, it's not going to come across as selling more. And if they say yes to this question, they're going to be saying yes to jumping on your webinar. Cool. So next, adding a little humor into these as you are starting to batch out and go ahead and writing these updates. Humor is a great way to make sure that you're gaining and keeping followers, because it gives that positive emotional connection and it really gets people excited and smiling, and that excitement will carry over and really increase the likelihood that you can click on that link and get all of that valuable information. So this goes along again with your style guide, making sure you're staying true to your humor that you guys put out there on social media, but consider adding it in. It really is a great way to connect with your community. Cool, split testing. So split testing is going to be something you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with if you're running email marketing. But this really makes sure that your audience is getting the best of the best. You can really start to learn and utilize this throughout your webinars as you're going through, knowing the language that your community responds to the most. So you can see over on the left, we have an update here that's promoting the same webinar as over on the right. So this is especially going to be important for Twitter these days, as Twitter no longer allows you to send the same tweet out more than once to your Twitter account. And again, this is just going on their idea that they want to make sure Twitter is a really authentic network. So the added bonus here is being able to share the same link, being able to make sure it's getting out to your audience and staying in line with Twitter's terms of service, but also gaining some valuable information. So going into your Twitter analytics after you've sent these out and seeing which updates do more. Do people really respond when you ask a question more? Do people respond when you're a little bit more direct? So if you're promoting the same webinar with different updates, don't forget to let that inform the updates for your future webinars. As you're going throughout this too, if you want to do this in Edgar at all, we have a great feature for variations where you're able to add in different updates to share the same link. So if you're sharing that registration page, hopping on into the variations here can help you put in different calls to action, different introductions, utilizing that different language to get that authentic connection out. So consider doing that, sitting down, sending people to a link, and creating different updates for each one. As you're doing this too, think about the content-specific networks that you're sending this to. So you can see here in this status update, we want to send this to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Within Meet Edgar, you can actually check off each of those so that you're able to send this one update out to all of those accounts at once. But if you are doing this without an automation service, again, start to think about how you can keep yourself organized with spreadsheets or anything at all so that you're staying consistent. Because consistency, again, is going to be the best way that you're showing up for your followers and letting them know how much you care about them and how much you value them. So think about sending this out at different times or at the same time to all your networks, cross-promoting within them.
Question for you on this. When you're doing a posting schedule, is there ever too many times you can post in a day?
Great question. So there definitely is. You don't want to become a broken record. You want to make sure that you are posting at times when your followers aren't going to think that you're interrupting their feed. So again, this is how categorizing can help too. So you're not just sending the same update out. So if you're on Facebook, we recommend starting out, if you're not familiar with how many of the best times to post there are, starting out with 4 a day. Not all of them webinar promotion, of course, but adding in your value-added content and then promoting that webinar. Twitter is a little bit more fast-moving, so you can consider adding in, up to 10 updates a day, kind of getting them out when people are online. But making sure you are, if you're really ramping up your webinar promotion, consider taking away some of your other promotional content so that you're not coming in and you're not just clogging up people's feeds and streams. But if the value you're adding to people that you're putting out in your updates is really strong, they'll be more likely to really see your updates in their stream as helpful rather than interrupting their time on social media. So there's definitely a time and a place for too many updates on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. So I would suggest starting out with 4 on Facebook, starting out between 5 to 7 maybe on Twitter. And on LinkedIn, everyone's audience is a little bit different on all these networks, of course, but maybe starting out with a couple of updates a day and seeing how that engagement and how that reaches. And you can always go ahead and pivot on your goal from there. Great question. Cool. So as you are scheduling this, this is a good segue right into this slide here. You can set up a weekly schedule to know when you are posting in order to not send too many updates out. So again, if you're doing this on Edgar, this is a 1-week view here of our schedule. And this schedule repeats over and over again, so you do only have to set it up once, which is awesome. Oops, sorry about that. When you are going throughout and setting this up, you can then go in and say, you know what, it looks like on Wednesdays I am sharing 5 updates a day on Facebook already, but I want to add in 2 more of my webinar promotional ones. You can then maybe go in and change the category of one of your regularly scheduled promotional content in there to a webinar promotion one. So again, you're not adding in too many updates, but you're getting that valuable content out there. So having a view and having a schedule out like this, whether it's on a Google Calendar or whether it's in an automation system, is a great way to make sure and to keep you really strategic with not having to share too many updates. And it's a really great way to make sure that you're also planning this out, because as that saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So having this plan out on your calendar is a great way to set yourself up for success. Cool. So as you're adding your time slots, whether you're doing this on a spreadsheet or within Edgar here, you can see what you're going to select your category, the time of day, and the accounts you want it to go out to. And this will allow you then to have these promotions go out on repeat over the week. So every time Edgar's going to hit one of these time slots on the schedule, he'll send an update out from that category, put it to the end of the line, and move along. And he's going to go along and hit these and start to reshare the content once he's gone through all of your old ones. So what this helps do is make sure it resurfaces your content for your followers who didn't see it the first time, as well as for any new followers who may have joined following you before that. So make sure that as you're doing this, you're thinking about those updates as staying evergreen and really getting them out to your followers at times that matter for them. So again, this idea of evergreen content is awesome for webinars and for posting, just because it allows you to reshare this after the webinar is over too. So if you're doing a webinar, consider creating your status updates without any dates or times so you can use them in the future and store them for later. Again, making sure that the time you're spending is spent really, really valuable in a way of crafting these and not having to reinvent the wheel each time. So evergreen content is that content that's going to be really relevant for now and in the future. And your social media status updates can also be crafted in an evergreen way. So consider doing that so you can reuse.
And I would love to just add in at this time, this is an incredible time to think about how do replays work? How am I going to promote my replay? If you're a Demio user, how can I use a like live replay, right? Track people who are coming in, see how long they're watching, have them get the same great experience. So you can use this evergreen content to a like live replay. And for those of you that are Demio customers and you're looking forward towards automated coming out at the end of the summer, how can I use the same content to an automated webinar that may be running daily or weekly or multiple times a day? And you can use this content to just drive these organic leads through social right to those automated webinars. That's really, really powerful too.
Awesome. Yeah, great tip there, David. Thanks. Cool. So we've been chatting a lot about making sure these updates get out to your followers when they're online. And I also wanted to offer a couple of ways you can do this. There's a cool tool out there specifically for Twitter called Tweeriad. And this really allows you to analyze when your followers are online the most. This is a view inside of Tweeriad here. So you can see as you're starting to think when you should be putting your status updates for your webinar out. That this is going to show you, hey, between 9 and 10 p.m., wow, look how many of my followers are online. This is when I want to make sure that I'm hitting them with that registration link so you can make sure it's getting in front of the most eyeballs. So going back to having that strategy set before you even start to do a single social media update is a really great thing. So beyond using Tweeriad, if you have a Twitter account and you are logged in, if you actually just type in analytics.twitter.com, it'll take you to Twitter's analytics that'll show you even more about who your audience is and when they're online. But beyond that, it also gives you an idea of what your audience likes. The demographics in Twitter's analytics is amazing. You can find out things like, what TV shows they like, if they're more prone to like sports or comedy. You can find out the gender split between your followers. And all of these things can help you determine what type of language your social media updates should use so that you can make sure you're speaking right to their story. Again, going back to the fact that humans want to relate with each other, and social media marketing is a great way to do that. So this is also a look inside the top tweets in Twitter analytics. And this can, again, really help make sure that you are seeing the language that some of your past top tweets have used. And really help that inform your webinar registration tweets. So pop into your Twitter analytics and start not only looking at your demographics information to consider what language you should use to compel people to click on that link, but also what's worked well in the past for you. So it's a great tool. If you guys have never done it, again, all you got to do is type in analytics.twitter.com and it'll take you right there. Beyond Twitter, we do have some Facebook analytics you can look at as well. So Facebook analytics here will tell you the time of day that the majority of your followers are online. Again, helping you inform that, hey, maybe my Facebook community is online during the afternoon more and my Twitter community is online at night more. So each of those updates can go out at the right time. Awesome. So once your registration updates have gone out, don't forget about how great social media is for after your webinars. So this can be really helpful to make sure that you're answering the questions that might still be lingering in people's heads. So again, as you're kind of doing webinars, as you're going throughout this, utilizing a specific hashtag really helps to make people say, hey, I still had a question. Let me mention this company with the hashtag to let them know I have a question about their webinar, and you can go ahead and craft those social media updates afterwards to keep the conversation going and to keep your brand visible on social media. You want to always express gratitude, thanking everyone who made it live. You guys are taking time out of your day, which is amazing, and we are so grateful. So social media updates can really help your brand come across with that awesome gratitude and thanking your followers for taking time out of their day. Replays if people couldn't make it live, or if people may not have registered for it even, getting them excited that, hey, this is a company worth registering with next time. I can get this replay. I can get all of this awesome information. So social media is a great way to hype that up too. You also want to start to use social media to mention any bonuses. As David was saying, we have some great templates for you guys, some great ebooks for you guys, and having that on social media can not only help thank and offer gratitude towards those people who showed up for your first webinar here, but get people excited for future webinars that you hold, because they'll say, hey, wow, I get all this bonus material for coming live to this webinar. So those afterwards updates can really help make sure that your future webinars have more registrations and people are excited about it if they know the value that your past webinars did offer. You also want to consider about having these after party social media status updates really rally your army. And what that means is you guys have personal networks and you guys have company pages. And if you're doing a webinar, consider using your personal page as well, or consider having your team use their personal page to open up your brand to their audience. So you can see our founder, Laura, is a great example here of talking about how she, what the content of this webinar was, but also using her personal network in order to promote Meet Edgar and in order to really get her followers to know about our brand. So make sure you're thinking about how your employees can hype up the webinar and get really excited there. Cool. So after party webinars are also awesome, again, for making sure you're keeping the discussion going. So you can see here an example of a past tweet we used for one of our webinars. And this gets people excited, again, to talk back to you. And again, social media these days is really about engagement. So if people are talking to you on here, people are thanking you or using that hashtag, make sure you're jumping in and replying to them. And this will really help increase your registration rates for next time, because people, again, know that you're there for them before, during, and after that webinar, creating that really great tribe and creating your community. So use that hashtag in your afterwards tweets, in your afterwards Facebook posts, and make sure you're setting some time aside to go in and check it and respond to any of your followers, because this is, again, creating that awesome brand loyalty and creating that sort of call to action saying, hey, look, all these members are now opening up our brand to their own networks, and that is a huge sign of respect, and you should be really excited when people do that. So when people are tweeting back, make sure you're spending the time to hop on in and go ahead and join the conversation with them. Another idea for after party webinars here are going to be sending people to a replay page. So here at Edgar, we do have a replay page of all of our past webinars set up, but making sure that you're also going ahead and sending them to a specific webinar replay page. So craft some social media updates to send them to your general replay so that people can see any past webinars you've done, or if you have a schedule up for your future webinars, consider doing that. Or make them a little bit more specific. And again, you can alter the language that you're using here, especially for Twitter, to fit their terms of conditions. So sharing the same link to our replays page, but with a little bit of a variety in the language that we're using, allows us to share this link over and over to drive more traffic to it. And it's also a way to, again, split test and see the types of updates that work best. So check out the replays of our latest live webinar. Short, to the point, great, I know what I'm going to get when I click on this. Or asking a question, our favorite way to make sure we're driving engagement on social media and really speaking right into someone's story. So did you know we regularly host live webinars? And that's, again, getting people to fill that knowledge gap, saying, no, I didn't know that. And that sort of curiosity is going to help compel them to click that link and be directed right there. Cool. So as you're going throughout this, guys, after this webinar, thinking about ways that you can whip out your pen and paper, whip out a system where you're able to craft your social media updates ahead of time to meet your goals, making sure you're staying true to your brand and style guidelines. How this will work in Edgar is, again, setting aside some time to create a custom category. If you're not using Edgar, setting aside some time to create a custom tab on a spreadsheet or something, and start to actually load those updates out. And I want you guys to spend some time on crafting specific messages for Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And for strategizing on sending them out 2 weeks in advance is a really great rule of thumb. So creating updates that are date specific, saying, hey, in 2 weeks from now, we're hosting this webinar, creating updates for a week out, and creating updates for every day out from there. And then setting up your posting schedule. So going on in and saying, okay, 2 weeks out, I'm going to send out 2 updates to my social media networks. 1 week out, I'm going to send out an update every day, or having that strategy in mind and watching as your numbers for your registration on Demio. It's an awesome way to see how many people have registered right there. Watching those numbers so you can adjust your strategy as you're going forward. Say you don't have enough social media, or you don't have enough registrants to meet your goal yet, you can then ramp up and know that your schedule has left room to do that. And then as your social media automation is going, Edgar will take care of it if you're using the tool, or making sure you're keeping an eye on that calendar and staying true to those posting schedules. Awesome. So guys, that was a wealth of information, I know. And we went through that really quickly, so definitely appreciate you taking time to go throughout this. But you can email support@meetedgar.com as well, and we can always answer any other questions you have.
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
that.
I mean, that was a ton of great information. First of all, great job. You did an amazing job. Thank you all for being here and listening. We don't have anything for sale today, not a sales webinar at all, but if you guys are interested in using Edgar, obviously we just want to offer that option. So I'm just going to send out a little resource here for you guys to click on if you're interested in that. Basically, you just want to use the promo code DEMIO Edgar. That will get you a free month of Edgar just to play with it, see if it's worth setting up. It's an amazing platform. We absolutely love it here. It's a powerful, powerful tool to add to your arsenal. Obviously, everything that we just went through can be easily implemented right into Edgar. So highly recommend you guys check it out. If you're not a Demio user and you're on the other side, you're using Edgar already, you're loving the platform, and you want to start using something for webinars, we're obviously in Demio right now, you can check out our free trial. Don't forget, guys, we're going to do some Q&A here as well. For the Demio one, it's a 14-day free trial. We have 24/7 support, everything in there with your free trial, and you'll also get a simulated event, so you can actually come in and play with actual a webinar without having any attendees, just to get a feel for it. So it's a really, really cool platform. We wanted to do this training today for all of you guys to share some of this information on webinars. We want to do more trainings like this in the future, so I appreciate everyone for coming out. Don't forget to click on that link, and Demio Edgar is the coupon code to use for today. Now, stay tuned. We're still going to share that big bonus for you guys, that PDF, in just a second here. I just want to keep this call to action open for just a couple more minutes. Anything else you guys want to know about? Or actually, Megan, do you want to talk about what they get if they sign up for that free trial, the PDF or the ebook?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we want to make sure you're getting the most value out of your social media updates, and Edgar has some great resources for this. We have this book called A Secret Blogging Formula, which isn't just for blogging. It's about content creation in general. So if you guys sign up with that code, with that Demio code for Meet Edgar, we'll go ahead and get you a free copy of this ebook, along with the great slides that David mentioned with those social media automation templates. And again, our goal with this is to make sure the content you're creating is speaking to your followers and really getting them excited to build up that know, like, and trust factor with your brands. We go throughout how our content creation process and giving away free material has really led social media to get us more followers and to get us more registrants for our own webinars. So you'll get this book if you sign up with that code. If you do have any questions, if Edgar's right for you, again, you can always email support@meetedgar.com, and we can chat about your social media goals and how the tool can really help to help you guys meet those.
That's incredible. And someone asked, if they already have a Meet Edgar account, can they still email to get the ebook and the bonuses?
Oh gosh, of course you can. We love our community at Edgar. Appreciate you guys coming today for sure. Go ahead and email support@meetedgar.com, or we'll be sending out an email after this webinar ends, and we'll make sure that if you reply to that, we'll get you
So if you're looking, Allison, to get the trial of Meet Edgar, there should be a button in the top of the chat that says grab a free month of Meet Edgar. There's like a little circles around it. Just go ahead and click that, open it, click secure my account. It'll take you to a checkout page. On that page, just type in Demio Edgar as your monthly coupon code there, and you'll get a free month there for just being on today. And what I'm going to do now also is I'm going to share that PDF. This is the social media template outline for you guys. What we went through is we organized what those social media images should look like. We outlined them a bit more. We found some really, really well done, high converting templates from great marketers out there and great companies already. Put it together for you. Now, for those of you who do set up that Meet Edgar account, or you want to get those extra bonuses, when you do sign up, what we're going to try to do is get you links to Canva templates of what's going on in these in this PDF, and we'll try to link you to those. So reach out to us once you guys come through, and we'll try to get you those links. We were talking about it just before. We're trying to organize some Canva links, and the cool thing about the Canva links is you'll be able to go in and edit these templates for free. Just kind of play the templates so you guys can use them on your own brands and stuff like that. And so let's just do some questions. Megan, if you don't mind, I'm just going to pull up a couple questions here that we got through the show.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
one was around Instagram and automation with how Instagram and Edgar works. Is there, how does that look right now?
Yeah, great. So we are actually building Instagram into our platform now. So it should be ready in the next few months. So it's not available currently in Edgar, but if you have an Edgar account, or if you don't have an Edgar account, we have an updates page where you can check in on all of our features, and I'll put that in the chat here now. But we'll be building that in the next few months now, and it's a great way, Instagram, for your registration updates should really be utilized with some of those templates that we're offering you guys, because it is such a visual platform, but it doesn't only have to be pictures. So if once we get Instagram in, or if you guys are doing this on your own with Instagram, consider not only sharing face pictures to get that behind the scenes aspect going on, to promote your webinar, but also creating some templates like in Canva in order to upload those into Instagram. Instagram also has a really cool carousel feature that you can go ahead and add multiple photos to. So a great strategy here is to get a photo of who's going to be presenting the webinar, to get that great kind of Canva related image in there, as well as a couple of screenshots from your slide, all within one Instagram update, to build that sort of story and through line of what your webinar is going to be about and who it's really great for. So Instagram is a great place to do your webinars specifically, and Meet Edgar will have that in as a network shortly here. But currently
Awesome.
it's Facebook.
Amber wants to know,
Twitter.
Is it going to be beta or roll out to everyone?
It'll roll out to everyone
great.
when we do. And here in the chat, there is the link where you can always go ahead and check in on the newest features that have
That's
been released.
awesome. Thanks for posting that. Rachel, quick question, asked what email to use for writing in as a Edgar customer trying to get some bonuses. Is that the support email?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do support@meetedgar.com, or within an Edgar account, you can see a chat feature in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can always chat us there.
Perfect. And just a reminder for everyone asking, there will be a replay of this sent out. We'll send it to the demo users, and Edgar will be sent out as well. So everyone will get this. And I believe, Megan, you said you were going to upload these slides to LinkedIn Slides?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and get these on our SlideShare account on LinkedIn. So you guys can go ahead and grab them there, and let me get the URL and I'll put that in the chat.
Another really cool social network for you guys to check out. Those of you listening, when we're talking about using that evergreen content, using those pieces of your webinars, this is another great resource to use, which is SlideShare on LinkedIn, a hugely trafficked part of LinkedIn. And so uploading slides and stuff like that is another really great way to get your content and your credibility and authority out there in front of a ton of people.
Awesome. So true. Teaching moments on LinkedIn are huge because it is such an industry specific and targeted place. So I'll make sure that I get those slides up there after the webinar today. The link's right there, and you can go ahead and
awesome. Now I have another question here about Facebook and third-party posting. Do you have any information on what Facebook is looking at when they see posts and stuff?
Yeah, great question. So Facebook actually does not see any posts from Meet Edgar as different than you are posting natively. We don't brand it at all. We don't do anything like that. They are changing some things in August. And what that's going to do is you're no longer going to be able to use an automation tool to post to your personal profile. However, you will still be able to post to groups and pages with third-party automation. And it's going to be something that is not seen any different than you are posting organically. A few years ago, their algorithm did take that into consideration, but it hasn't been like that for a while. So definitely making sure that you're just seeing automation as, again, a way to free up your time and to get your updates out. It's nothing that'll kind of go in and get your reach down or anything at all. As you are starting to post more, it can be something that your reach may change depending upon the times of day and stuff like that. But the actual post itself is seen by the social networks as you're
that's
doing
incredible.
It organically.
That's awesome. What about, Sheila asked, this was a really great question. I have a good answer for it, but I would love your take too, Megan. How do you schedule evergreen posts more than once if you don't want to repost the same content?
Great question. So this is where that variations feature can come in really well. So if you don't want to share the same content over and over, what you can do is go ahead and craft your social media updates, either with a question involved, with a pull quote from it. Again, getting more out of it. The content you already have is probably being underutilized. So you can hop into like a blog post you have, or you can hop into a specific slide on the webinar and actually pull some of that content out to repost. For your content that's not going to be evergreen at all, I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, sorry. For content that's not going to be evergreen at all, these social media updates can still be really utilized, as you can start to craft out an established sort of link beforehand and sharing a different link afterhand. And in Meet Edgar, there's a use once category that'll share an update out once and then retire it. So this can be a great way for you to automate things in Meet Edgar, is to add these updates as a use once update, but they'll remain in your library. They won't be utilized again, but remaining there and having that record allows you to then go in and say, oh, look, this update did really well for my last webinar. Let me go ahead and tweak it a little bit and add in the new information, but you have that template out there so you can resave it and not, again, have to reinvent.
That was a great answer. Yeah, definitely. And I also think, some of what we talked about today with the evergreen is also the strategy behind how your webinars are going to be, what you're talking about for titles and descriptions and stuff like that, like how you're actually talking about that content. So you can definitely reuse those pieces. Maybe you're reusing a replay or using a like live replay or an automated webinar, right? So you can talk about the marketing specific strategies in an evergreen format too. So there is that option as well. So you're not always creating like a new webinar or a new thing that's, shifting with current events or something like that, right?
Yeah, cool. And I see Aaron is clarifying that for me here. Thanks, Aaron. So yeah, the Twitter idea is not something where you can't reshare evergreen content. It just has to have some variety in it. So when you're going ahead and thinking, hey, I want to reshare the same link, you can still reshare that same link, but what you have to do is think about a different way of introducing that. So within Edgar, we make this easy with our variations tool, and that's seen here. So you can see you can share the same concept, but alter the text you're using. So it is a little bit more time consuming, but Twitter's goal with this is to create a more authentic experience for your followers. And again, Twitter as a social network has its interest in mind in keeping people within their platform. So the goals that they have and the terms of service that they set are really gonna help provide more value for you and get your tweets being more authentic and being really more valuable to your followers. So think of this rule not so much as a limitation, but as a cool and exciting way to get more authenticity and genuine connections with your followers to get that brand recognition going. So if you're using Edgar for this, you can still reshare the same link on Twitter. You just have to alter the text that goes along with it, whether that be, again, asking a question, an inspirational quote, a different call to action, whether it's click here to register or like visit our page to register. So just altering that text a little bit, altering it, but you can still share that same message out.
And by the way, I saw a couple of people talking about sharing this webinar with their team. If you guys have a team, a marketing team, anyone doing social with you, definitely get the replay when this comes out. Share it with the team. There's a lot of great stuff. Megan went through a ton today, an absolute ton of great content. And again, I just want to thank her for coming out today, sharing so much with us. You're an absolute rock star. It was an incredible presentation. So thank you again, Robin. Yes, the code is Demio Edgar, capital D, capital E. I don't think it's all caps.
Yep, capital D, capital E, exactly. If you have any trouble at all, let us know and we can make sure that gets in your account.
And again, if you guys want to get a free trial of Demio, I'm just going to paste this into the chat here. But this is just a free trial link. It's a 25 attendee, a 14-day free trial of Demio, an incredible way to just get in there, see what it's like. We have a simulated webinar in there for you. But definitely check out the Edgar free month. Highly, highly recommend you guys get that set up and get a lot of the stuff that we talked about today implemented. The biggest part here is the planning, the strategy, understanding your analytics, understanding your avatar, who you're talking to, your personas. So a lot of great things to think about after this webinar. But all right, everyone, if there's no other questions here, I think we'll end for the day. And, again, big round of applause. And thank you so much, Megan, for all your time today.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. Demio has been an awesome platform for us here at Edgar. So definitely, if you guys are Edgar users, check it out. Let us know what else you'd like to learn. We're planning on doing a ton more webinars, as you guys know, on our YouTube channel, as well as on Demio. So we always want to hear from the community what your goals are, what you're looking to learn. So these webinars are offering the most value. So go ahead and email us any feedback. Go ahead and mention us on Twitter, @MeetEdgar. You can use the hashtag #MetaWebinar to let us know any feedback or what you want to learn in the future. Go ahead and at Demio with any other questions too, and connect with us. We love to keep
awesome.
the conversation
Hashtag
going.
Meta Webinar. Awesome, everybody. Thank you so much for all your time today, and we will see you soon. Stay on the lookout for any replay emails coming out from this, and we'll try to get those slides out as well. But have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week, and appreciate all of your time.
Bye-bye. Thanks, guys. See you later.